Any person who wishes to become serious about undertaking a path towards self-realization, towards the realization of the nature of consciousness, otherwise called the soul. Any person who wants to go towards what we call, in other words, something like so-called enlightenment or illumination, which basically means self-realization, which basically means going towards the realization of the true nature of our true self. Any such person cannot, under any circumstance, be too sensible or oversensible or oversensitive in a personalized or in a personal manner, meaning if you are triggered easily, if you can't stand other people having different opinions from your own, if when something doesn't go your way, or if you hear something that doesn't please you, if you get into a very intense reaction of outrage, of feeling hurt because you are too sensible, because you are too emotional, I guarantee you the spiritual path is not for you. In other words, if you're too woke, the spiritual path is probably not for you. The reason is, if, in a sense, by wanting to arrive at a very meaningful and important self-realization or degree of self-realization, because there are levels to that. This self-realization is something gradual. So if you want to go towards that, it's very important that you understand that what you are, in a sense, invoking towards yourself is the truth. The truth, not your opinion, not your truth, but the truth. And the truth in a spiritual sense doesn't change, has never changed, will never change. And those energies, if you will, that are part of what we call the truth, they will drive out anything that's false out of you. And we tend to be very much attached to a various array of things that aren't exactly true. In other words, truth will force itself upon you. If you are too sensitive, if you are too attached to, notions that have nothing to do with the truth, such as very strong identification with race, very strong identification with a sense of being a victim, very strong identification with sexual orientation, or a sense of wanting social justice or being a social justice warrior, very strong identification with a sense that there is, oppressors and victims and patriarchy, or all kinds of, popular notions, culturally speaking, nowadays. I assure you, these things will be driven out of you by the forces you are invoking by embarking or by undertaking the spiritual path. The true self, the nature of the true self that we are seeking to realize upon the spiritual path, has nothing to do with anything circumstantial or anything impermanent or temporary that have to do with our sense of being the person we believe we are, our personality. Temporary characteristics such as, again, race, identification with sexual orientation or gender or political affiliation or school of thoughts or even religious beliefs, all of these things are not part of the nature of the soul. They are not. They are part of our temporary personality. And our temporary personality is really just a bundle of things. A bundle of things that we can become fully conscious of, which suggests that since we can become conscious of these things, this suggests that these things are not consciousness itself. And the goal of the spiritual path is to become, fully aware of the nature of consciousness itself. So I repeat, we can become conscious of the bundle of things which make up our temporary and circumstantial personality. We can become conscious of these things, which suggests that they are different from consciousness itself. And consciousness itself is our own soul, and the realization of the nature of the soul is the goal of the spiritual path. So it's important for anyone who wants to become serious going towards that to diminish over time as much as possible any form of emphasis on those temporary characteristics.